Good morning, everybody. Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative Tom Tiffany is our very special guest today, Friday, September 5th, 2025. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Dryden Wire Live, presented by Americans for Prosperity Wisconsin. AFP Wisconsin works to reignite the American dream and break down government barriers that hold us back from our full potential. Visit AFPWisconsin.com to learn more and join AFP to fight for more freedom for all Wisconsinites. With that, we welcome Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative, who typically joins us on the second Thursday of the month. But due to a scheduling conflict on our end, he's joining us today, Congressman Tom Tiffany. Tom, good morning, sir. Happy Friday.
Hey, we don't usually do a TGIF, do we?
I know we don't. This is weird. Everything is weird. I woke up this morning, I'm like, wait, I'm doing a show this morning. That's not normal.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that's weird is the weather. Man,
What's up?
I got home last night from DC and this morning woke up, man, the wind is howling out of the northwest. And as you can see by my shirt, it's a little chilly in the house today.
It is. It is. We had to turn the heat on, which is a little early for the heat. Hey, how was your August break?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah. It was really good. Boy, got to travel the district some, got to do some events, things like that. Last week, we had a really interesting trip with Natural Resources Committee. We went up to Alaska. We have jurisdiction for so many of the issues that are almost all surrounding natural resources up in Alaska. But, I'd say one of the biggest takeaways of the hearing that we had in Alaska was that there is a new pipeline that's being proposed up there. And in fact, I think the permits are completed, and it's just a matter of them building the pipeline now. And it'll be for natural gas, though. The one that's up there is for crude oil that was built, what was that, back in the 60s, 70s, whenever the Trans-Alaska pipeline was built. And but now there's a natural gas pipeline that's being proposed, and it's a really big deal for Alaskans, but it's really a big deal for America, too, to make us energy independent.
A committee meeting in Alaska? So I'm on the board in Washburn County, and I complain when I have to go 7 miles for a committee meeting. They don't have Zoom up there or anything? I mean, why do you have to go there for that? What was the benefit?
So are you asking for your meetings to be in Trigo? Is that what you're asking for, Ben?
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
I'm thinking about the county lines there. Trigo is in Washburn, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
No, there's nothing like nothing like seeing what is going on up there, and we also were able to visit some of the and talk to some of the Alaska Native corporations. It's a much different setup with what many people refer to as the Eskimo tribes, but it's the tribal people up there. And they have a very interesting setup in Alaska that started back at statehood and the few years after that. So just all the way around, but it is a world. It is a different world in Alaska. There's no doubt about it.
Wow.
It was great trip.
I've seen pictures. I'll take Wisconsin. Hey, I see you're holding a telephone town hall with Secretary Duffy on Tuesday.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
So glad that Sean is agreeing to do that. And, as I think most people know, Sean was my predecessor in the 7th Congressional District, did such a great job representing people here in northern Wisconsin, homegrown guy from Hayward. And look at him now. He's a Secretary of Transportation, the Department of Transportation in the Trump administration, and doing a good job. And you know how you can tell he's doing a good job? Because the president gave him more responsibility. He gave him NASA about a month ago. He said, hey, we're going to add this to your portfolio. But yeah, we're really looking forward to having Sean join us. We're going to talk about what many people refer to as the Big Beautiful Bill. That's how they know it. I refer to it as the Working Families Bill. And we're going to be talking about that and other stuff, and including, I'm sure, his experience as a Secretary of Transportation.
So we put that on our website at driver.com. We'll put it back up on Tuesday as a reminder. So it's Tuesday at 6:30. Or if you want, you can just go to tiffany.house.gov to your website. And I think it's just under the media tab. I think there's a press release thing in there. There's a phone number in there. And it says for like 7th Congressional District constituents. How do you know? I mean, what if somebody calls from Alabama?
So we push the calls out to the 7th Congressional District. The
Yeah.
program that we have identifies where people live.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
sure it's not perfect, and some people,
Sure.
but when we've done these in the past, it's the questions almost always come people from people in the 7th Congressional. By the way, um, if people want to ask a question that I've heard frequently, it's in regards to the Blatnick Bridge and its upgrade between Superior and Duluth. Big deal in
Yeah.
far northwestern Wisconsin. And I'm sure Sean would love to address that question as far as um, where is it in the process? When's it going to be completed? Is it going to be completed on time? All that good stuff. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer the question because I'm pretty sure he's visited up there since he's been as serving as secretary.
Well, I know I'm going to join the call, if only just to hear Sean's voice again, because he's ghosted me now that he's a big shot, right? I texted him after when he got the nomination for Secretary of Transportation, and he's like, thank you and stuff. And I sent him like another text a few months ago and no response. So you let him know to tell him, don't forget about Dryden Wire and, your roots here in northern Wisconsin. And I got a bone to pick with him. You let him know that. All right, I want to switch gears to Wisconsin. It's been an interesting week here in Wisconsin. I'm sure you saw some of the things come out. It was revealed that Governor Evers is pushing administrative rule changes that replace the terms mother and father. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that's the strangest thing. Why would you want to replace the terms mother and father? I mean, the family is at the center of life here in Wisconsin and in America, in the United States of America. It's always been the center of our lives, our families, and our communities. And at the heart of the family is mothers and fathers. So I don't get it. Why they want to replace the terms mother and father? Because mothers and fathers are irreplaceable to their children, to our communities, to our state, and to our country. And I sure hope they reverse course on that because we cannot replace mothers and fathers.
Yes, is there a large group of people that I'm not aware of that are offended by that? I don't mean that sarcastically, or maybe a little bit now that I'm smiling about it, but not really. Like it's not even rhetorical. What problem is this fixing?
I I do not know what problem this is fixing, but if you remember, the governor included in his proposed budget, it was stripped out by the legislature. He wanted to call mothers inseminated
Oh,
persons.
right.
So I don't know what he has against mothers, but he does not want to use that term. It's the strangest thing. And
Yeah.
I gotta believe it's a very small minority of people that are pushing this.
Yeah, and if it's not for like a practical purpose, maybe it's a political purpose, but I still don't even see the political upside in that. But let's move on. He also claimed he is in Governor Evers that Wisconsin economy would quote unquote be gone without illegal immigrants. I'm not sure if you saw that. How do you respond?
Yeah, it's a really strange week. As I think about all the people that have just gotten to work in the last hour across the state of Wisconsin that are keeping our state humming, and he's saying that the state is going to shut down if illegal immigrants are deported out of this state. It is the strangest thing, and he's done multiple things like this. I mean, proposing to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses. We saw what happened with the Indian driver down in India, from East India in Asia, down in Florida, where three people got killed when this person was not qualified to have a driver's license. This is strangest stuff that he came out with this week on a number of fronts, including this.
I'm glad you brought that up because, as you know, I usually prepare for these shows like 10 minutes before the show. And I like Google your name or I just try to find some things. One of the things I had written down somewhere in here was about, we'll get to that in a little bit, but it was about driver's license and illegal immigrants. I want to get to that. But I want to stay on the topic of Evers because obviously now that he's announced that he wasn't going to be seeking re-election again, I asked you last month. I'd be remiss not to ask you again. What is your timeline for deciding if you're going to be running for Wisconsin governor?
God, you reporters are all the same. So
I'm not a
one of the
reporter either, but like I can't not ask that question.
Yeah, we're going to make a decision here in September. It is decision time, and I don't want to string it out past the end of September because, first of all, if I chose not to, um, out of fairness to other people that may be considering it, but I think you also have to build a strong campaign, and you can't wait too long to do it. So
Yeah.
we're past summer; it's a bad time to announce this stuff in summer. So. We're going to announce here in September what we're going to do, yes or no.
So I want to ask you a hypothetical, and I know politicians usually don't like those. You've always been pretty good with answering them. But let's say you do run. What's your vision for the state?
Oh, it's to get our state back on track. I mean, you look at a number of metrics. Uh, for example, we're in the bottom 10 now in terms of starting a new business in Wisconsin. That's really deadly for any state's economy.
Wait,
You,
we're at the bottom 10 for starting a new business?
yes, yes. We're
That's
a
not good.
highly regulated state. We're certainly sufficiently taxed, but especially on the regulatory front, and that's all the agencies of state government, but in particular the Department of Natural Resources, we are so regulated that it really stifles business growth here in the state. I
Hmm.
mean, we have so much paperwork that we make people do to whether it's building a new home or starting a business, whatever the case may be. But also, we are among the highest states now in the Midwest for energy costs. Our electricity rates are among the highest. We used to be among the lowest. And we have now fallen behind Mississippi in educational attainment. And I mean, think about it. We've fallen behind Mississippi on education. So Governor Evers was supposed to be the education governor. And here we are slipping behind states that were ranked last at one time. We've got a lot of work to do. And I just think it's a state of real opportunity. I mean, just think about my own cruise through life here as grew up on a dairy farm in western Wisconsin, met my wife Chris up in Minocqua when I moved up there after getting a college degree at UW River Falls. We had a family, we were able to own our own small business, and I mean, we've been able to live the American dream. That's starting to slip away, and you're seeing that with many young people are questioning, does this system really work for us? And we need to restore that American dream right here in Wisconsin. But it's going to take new leadership to do it.
I'm glad you brought up education. This morning, I saw, where is it? I think I have a note on it. Oh, there it is. A recent report shows that only 31% of Wisconsin fourth graders are reading at grade level. That's one in three. What needs to change?
Yeah, we need to change how we're teaching reading. Uh, First of all, there's not a phonics component in many schools. Now, this is not true of all schools, but for many schools, there's not a phonics component to their teaching. For example, there's a fad that came out of, I believe it was Columbia University, one of the Ivy League universities, called 3Qing. It was basically just guessing what a word means and
That's
how to spell
basically what I do, right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so 3Qing has proven to be a great failure, but some schools are still using it. And in spite of it, I think it's behind against the law now, but it's still being used. And we have things like that are going on in the state in terms of how we teach. And I think we need to go back to the core, and that's our teaching colleges, and make sure that they're adhering to something called the Fort test. And I know I'm getting a little bit deep here, but it's the Foundations of Reading test. And when states use those, when colleges use those, and make sure that the students that are coming out of their colleges pass those Fort tests, you have a much better chance of teaching reading better, because the Fort test includes phonics, and phonics has been shown to be one of the key attributes in being able to teach reading. So there's some really fundamental things we need to change in regards to that. But just think about it. 31% of fourth graders in Wisconsin can read at grade level. That means, people talk about Milwaukee all the time and the failure down there. That means it's happening across the state. We need to change it. We need to change it soon.
I don't remember that far back. I don't remember first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade So therefore, I don't really remember like how you learn how to read. I just remember reading. That one, like the math stuff, there's a lot of them that kind of makes a little sense, or I at least understand it. But reading, that one really is bizarre to me. It's reading. I don't remember how I learned how to read. Do you remember how we learned how to read? It was just reading. What was it?
Yeah, no. It was, when you think back, we didn't know the term phonics back at that point as little
No.
kids. That's what it was, sounding out words and understanding that way. And Wisconsin has a long, proud tradition of doing this correctly. And we've just gotten away from it the last couple decades. And we need to get back to the basics in regards to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to
Mm.
make sure, I mean, what parents, I mean, I think
Oops. Uh oh. Oh no.
rather than education. And another thing that I think we need to do is we need to reward good teachers and good schools that are doing a good job. Let's make sure that there's accountability. Those that are doing a good job, they should get more money.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I'm sorry, we just had a little hiccup there in our program. And also, I see there's some comments or some questions in here. We'll try to get those at the end. We have a lot actually to get to here. But for everyone that is tuning in, thank you so much. I see Representative Gabe Magnifici, Aaron, several others. We'll get to all of that in a little bit. But I wanted to ask you, it's an issue that I think many people want to hear about is where do you stand on abortion?
Yeah, it's been a big issue. And this is a deeply personal issue to people across the state of Wisconsin. And I think it's important to realize what the law is currently in Wisconsin. And it's 5 months. You're allowed to have an abortion up to 5 months. That bill was passed 10 years ago when I was in the state legislature. I voted, we had lots of debate around it. I voted for that bill and it was signed into law by the governor.
And that bill, so you signed that. It was a 5 month. That had an exception for the life of the mother. Are there any other exceptions that you would support?
Yeah, I supported that bill and I supported that exception. And I do also support the exceptions for rape and incest.
So is that something I want to start? This kind of ties back into the education piece and also this. What role does the governor play in making these decisions? Is it just kind of giving direction, like, hey, legislature, I want this to be brought forward. I want you guys to start working on this piece of the education aspect of it. Or when it comes to the topic of abortion, um, is it giving kind of direction what you would like to see? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think the governor should uphold the laws of the state of Wisconsin. Now, certainly the attorney general and legislature have a role in that also. But the assurance I give to people is that I will vote to uphold that.
Sure.
I will support upholding that law. I voted for it. I stand by that vote 10 years ago for the bill that was signed into law, that is current law in Wisconsin. For 5 months, up to 5 months, you can have an abortion.
Mhm.
And I will defend that law if I were elected.
Well, speaking of elected, there's two declared candidates for on the Republican side for Wisconsin governor. What separates you from them?
Oh, I think it's experience. It's having a vision for the state of Wisconsin. I mean, very simply, we're going to make Wisconsin the best in the Midwest. We're going to bring electricity prices down to where they're the lowest in the Midwest, like they were 20 years ago or so. We're going to educate our kids, not indoctrinate them. We're going to make sure kids get a good education because Wisconsin has a long, proud tradition of that. We're going to put the Wisconsin is open for business signs back up again, which Governor Evers took down on the first day in office. I mean, we're going to make Wisconsin a shining star of the Midwest. And, you know, the other two people that have announced to be in the race, I don't know them well, but they seem to be good men. But I've owned a business for 20 years, and I owned and operated businesses before I got into politics. And you look at my time in office, I've served all the way from a town supervisor, the state legislature, and now in Congress. I have that broad experience, and that can be really helpful because there's a lot of money that flows federally to the states. And if you know how that interrelationship works, it can be really helpful. So I've worked at all levels of government. I mean, you look back to the Walker years, we were very successful in getting Wisconsin back on track. Remember, when I came into office in 2010 to the state assembly, we had a $3 billion deficit. I mean, it's much like what looks like is going to happen now as Governor Evers leaves office. It appears there's going to be a multi-billion-dollar deficit left for the next governor. We fixed that, and I helped do that. And we passed all kinds of other legislation that made Wisconsin. I mean, we almost cracked the top 10 for best states to be able to do business. But as you look to the future, I mean, housing affordability is a big deal. We can do things about that, including state government. We can make sure that we're making sure that we have low cost energy for people to be able to be successful here in Wisconsin. We can fix our educational system. We've got a lot of things that we can do. I mean, I think 2026 is going to be a key year here, Ben, for Wisconsin. Are we going to go the direction of woke and broke like Minnesota and Illinois, or are we going to be one of the prosperous states of America? Tennessee, Texas, Ohio, states like that are really doing well at this point. It's because they've embraced freedom and opportunity, which leads to prosperity. We do that here in Wisconsin, and we're going to be one of the great states of America.
You said open for business, those signs. Was that metaphoric or figurative? Or it was like literally said Evers took down the sign, like actual signs?
Yeah, I was just talking to one of my former colleagues last night from over in the Green Bay area about this, and he commented about this. And it turns out he actually wrote an article about it. They took those signs. It was the first day that Governor Evers was in office. They removed them from the entrances to our state. Wisconsin is open for business. Governor Walker put them up when he entered office. Governor Evers took them down first thing. He asked, I don't know if it was the Department of Transportation or what agency it was, he said, I'd like to have one of those signs. And they said, no, we're going to repurpose them into detour signs. I mean, talk about what a fitting way for those signs that are being taken down to be turned into. You want to detour people around Wisconsin, and that's exactly what's happening. It's why we're in the bottom 10 at this point. If I choose to run and if I were elected, we're going to go back to the top 10.
I did not know that we actually had signs and then they were taken down. That's just silly. All right. Well, so while the state waits for you to make a decision, which you will, as you just said, this month, by the end of this month, let's get back to Congress. You were off in August. Now it's back, or you're back. Where do things stand right now regarding the funding deadline? I think is it the end of this month, sometime this month?
Yeah, we do an annual budget and the fiscal year ends September 30th. So we always deal with this issue in September. Congress operates on deadlines. We always do stuff at the last minute. It's just the nature of the beast. And so we're having lots of discussions. The Appropriations Committee is working. They're passing some of the appropriations bills. I think there's like 12 or 13 appropriations bills. I don't know that they'll get them all done, and then we'll have to decide what we're going to do. I hope that they get them all done and we could pass them as a package, as a budget, on to the Senate. But if we don't, then I think what we should do is just have a budget freeze and leave spending as it is. That to me would probably be the best solution if we're not able to get those appropriations bills done.
And what does that mean? Would it freeze for how long? For the rest of this year? When does this come up again?
Well, I mean, I would support up to a full year freeze in regards to federal spending. I don't have a problem with that, but this will be a product of negotiations, and we'll see where we end up. I mean, first of all, I hope Appropriations Committee is able to get their work done. If they're not, the second best alternative, I believe, is to just have a spending freeze and let's continue the budget as is for however long we choose to.
So how do you think it'll end?
I would say number two is, I mean, if you look at past history, we haven't passed a full budget. And I shouldn't say we because I was not there for many of these years, but it's been like 15 or 20 years since there's been a full budget that has been passed by Congress. It's been these continuing resolutions and omnibus bills. And the thing that we really don't want to have happen in my mind is another omnibus bill because they just cram everything together and we end up with this uh, big increases in spending that have led to the deficit that we have.
What is an? I've heard that, but I don't know what that word means. What is an omnibus bill?
It means
Omnibus bill.
they cram everything together in one bill rather than doing 12 or 13 separate appropriations
Oh, sure,
bills.
sure.
They cram it all together.
Okay. I also saw when I Googled this morning, you were on a bill to ban, this is what I was referring to earlier, federal funding for states that issue driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I alluded to it earlier in our discussion here, Ben. We saw the horrible example down in Florida where an Indian truck driver who had gotten his license, he's here illegally, got his license to drive a truck in California and killed three people down in Florida. I mean, these type of things happen when you have people that cannot speak English, do not understand the road signs that are there. And it was just a horrible tragedy. And, Governor Evers has proposed the same thing in Wisconsin. Thankfully, the legislature made sure it didn't happen. But we need to make sure that states are not issuing driver's licenses to people who are not qualified to drive on our roads.
See, something else I learned because I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know legal immigrants could get driver's licenses in some states. Didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a number of states, including Minnesota. Now, I don't know to what extent if it includes CDLs, which are the semi trucks. But Minnesota, I believe, has legalization of illegal people being able to drive.
All right. So we only have about a minute, 2 minutes left here. I'll try to get to a couple questions. Here's one from Dan Erickson. Can you explain your votes to not release the Epstein files?
Actually, the Epstein files are steadily being released. All of them have not. And we voted, there was a vote this week, and there is a committee that is that is dealing with that issue and getting information out. FBI Director Patel and I think Attorney General Bondi have released some information. There's one thing that I would say to Dan and others in regards to this, because I get this question occasionally, is that you have to make sure that you take care doing this because you have many victims that are contained in those files, and you want to make sure that you don't harm them. You also don't want to harm someone who was perhaps an innocent bystander, and they had nothing really to do with Epstein, was not on the planes or whatever the case may be, but this person's name may appear in the files. You want to make sure that that person's name gets redacted, because if their name appears with Epstein when information is released, they will be smeared immediately. So I have always been for full transparency, but you do have to be cognizant, especially of the victims. And that's what our House committee is doing, that is in charge of this, is they're going through this and they are going to be releasing information.
Okay, we have time for one more here. This is from Jody Paulson. Thank you. Good morning. Can you explain how the budget fraud took place in U.S. aid and Social Security under your watch?
Well, I don't know what it means under my watch, because I have supported eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse as much as we can. But I do have to say, this president he has instructed Social Security Administration, make sure that people are actually alive and here legally in the United States in order to get a Social Security check. I think, don't quote me on this number, Ben, but I think it's in the hundreds of thousands at this point that they've removed people who were getting Social Security checks that should not have gotten them. And we are also, I think we had no, we did not have another vote this week. We had one just before we left in July, where we removed USAID funding that was going to foreign sources that were spending it on, Sesame Street in Iraq and stuff like that, stuff that does not serve the interests of the American people. And we're steadily chipping away at that. Doesn't happen overnight, but we're steadily chipping away at that waste, fraud, and abuse that has gone on with government programs.
NFL season just started. Micah Parsons on the Packers. What's the which kills me because I'm family's from Illinois and we're Bears fans. What's your season outlook for the Packers now?
So how's Caleb Williams going to do?
He's phenomenal. He's a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. Duh.
All right. Well, Micah Parsons is going to chase Caleb Williams all over Lambeau and Soldier Field. He's going to be running for his life.
So that first game is the Lions and the Packers, and those two are considered the three front runners for winning the Super Bowl this year or going to the Super Bowl this year.
But one thing we know is the NFC North may be the toughest division in the NFL.
Awesome.
These teams have all been on the ascendants, making good draft choices and building their teams. It's going to be a really exciting.
Have you ever been to Lambeau Field?
I have. It's been a few years, though.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. We went back past our time a little bit. I'm sorry, folks, we couldn't get to all of your questions. Tom, thank you so very much.
Great to join you, Ben. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Special thank you to Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District Representative Tom Tiffany for taking the time to come on for a chat with us today and reworking his schedule for a Friday show. I'll see all of you actually next Tuesday when I will once again be joined by former Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald for our second of 4 scheduled Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy Show reunion episodes airing this month. So until then, for DrydenWare.com, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.